Welcome to the Guest Room Arena knee hockey. The sport, Guest Room Arena, the location, the teams. Here almost ready to go. On the left you see Jim Rosa. He has struggled so far this season but is working to turn things around. A formidable opponent stands in his way and Scott Caldwell, a player who, to say the least, has certainly not struggled. And these two teams will meet up once again for a game of knee hockey about to get underway. Opening face-off is dropped, and it's already poked away by Jim, and it was on net and had to be deflected by Scott. Jim holds a fit and faces a poke check from Scott, and then fires one off the left boards and ended up going back behind his net where he had to recover, and then he dumped one into our broadcaster's booth. And I don't know where the hell.
Wait, hold up. Let me put this away.
And the scoreboard falls. What chaos. No score.
Alright, we're good.
And now we resume play. The ball will be thrown in from the broadcaster's booth for the face-off. What chaos is it's poked by Jim and played back away towards his net. It came through the goal crease where he was able to go to the backhand now. Now comes to the forehand and fires on a waiting Scott. It was wide. Scott recovers and tries to clear it and it was blocked away at center ice by Jim. Scott recovers on the left board, fires and scores. Back and forth go these two teams. We've seen so many times some classic games between these two. And Scott gets the first goal. Now Jim playing from behind once again. Fires one off the left shoulder of Scott. It came back to him on the right side. Scott pinching there. Bounces one behind the net and it came off to the right post where Scott had to carefully cover it underneath his feet there if he has it and he digs it away. And can hold and fire one wide off the left boards. It came back to him on the other side where Jim recovered there and played it back towards his own net. Fired one over the crossbar. It would not go.
Freaking.
1-0 the visitors in the Guest Room Arena. It is Scott putting up the first goal of the game and out of second. He sends that one from his own net through Jim. Oh, it is 2-0. And this was not the start Jim Rosa envisions. The teams will switch sides. Maybe that will bring him some new fortunes as he sits on the right side. Scott on the left with the 2-0 lead. Face-off. Came down off the left boards and it's played there by Jim trying to find an angle to shoot. He goes to the forehand but whiffs on it and Scott holds it there and faces the pressure and clears it down in front of the own net and he couldn't get the rebound there and Jim's able to recover to bank it off the left side. Comes back and fires another one and he couldn't get to the backhand there with diving Scott across the net. He would not get it. To the left side again it came where Scott recovers back in the net and Jim holds it center ice. Fires and a save was made by Scott. Fires back in center ice and holds and Jim has that one saved by Scott and cleared back down to his own net wide to the left side. He recovers once again. Fires on a waiting Scott. It was off the net. Another shot missed the net. Another shot missed the net. 3 misses by Jim and now Scott looking for it. He's out of his net as the goes back behind on the left side. He banks one past Jim who had a bad angle on it but the shot went wide and now Jim scrambling forward and Scott backhand scores. So instead of potentially being 2-1,
Let me fix this.
it is Jim missing out on some opportunities. Scott capitalizing for the third time. 3-0, the score. Face-off. And Jim wins that one. Backhands one for a waiting Scott on the left post. Still working with it, but finally had it poked away by Scott. And dumped back in to the net. They score!
Freaking rights.
Jim can't get anything going. Scott dominating once again, lying flat on his back here is Rosa. How much fight do they have left? If this game goes anything like his previous meetings with Scott have gone, the answer is not much. Scott seems adamant to wait for this face-off, and he'll do just that. As he can't win it though, and Jim pokes it towards him, and now has it again for another shot that was easily blocked off, and a rebound to Kareem wide. Scott poking for this one in front of his own cage. Jim putting on a little bit of a foray here, but it was promptly cleared by Scott off the post, and I could have made it 4-0 right there. And instead, another shot by Scott, rising up, would not go. Oh, Jim with a flurry of saves, but finally Scott fires, and into the empty net it goes.
I was so dizzy. I was like, I just fumbled all around. I was like, holy shit.
And so there's the answer we were looking for. 4-0 now. Scott.
Is that 5-0?
No.
Pretty sure it's 5.
That's 4.
Yeah, that was 5.
Okay.
Bitch, that's 4.
Cheating much.
The next goal.
When I look at the video later,
Yeah.
it'll prove that it was 5.
The next goal for Scott
We
will
just
win it.
change sides.
That was 5.
Oh, yeah.
2 goals change sides. 2 goals change sides.
So that'll do it my apologies on the scoreboard. I believed it was 4-0. Instead, that last goal by Scott, indeed his fifth. He is the winner.
The ball now, and I can just
5-0 is the score. He'll take a ceremonial slap shot on a disgruntled Jim and it hit his foot.
I'll show you a slap shot.
shit.
He's going to take a second chance at this one, and it is blocked. No matter the score, will make Scots fans happy. A 5-0 win goes in the books.